One of the more recent developments in data presentation is the concept of the heat map, which uses a cell's value to determine which fill color to assign to the cell. Unlike rule-based formats that either apply a color or not, the color scale conditional format applies a color from a 2 or 3 color gradient. Gradients can be hard to visualize if you've never worked with one before, so I'll start with an example and then show you how to create it. I applied a yellow to red format to this pivot table's data field. The lower the value, the more yellow the cell's interior color. The higher the value, the more red. The middle values, which in this example are all around 50%, are filled with a mix of yellow and red, making orange. So you can see the 100% are very dark. The 49% is toward the middle, and lower values such as 8 or 7% have a lot of yellow in them. Now I'm going to clear the format from the pivot table. And to do that, I'll just click Conditional Formatting, Clear Rules. I'll just clear rules from this pivot table to get rid of it. To create a color scale using a built-in format, you can click any cell in the pivot table, and then on the Home tab, click Conditional Formatting, point to Color Scales, and then select the color scale that you want. You can choose from 2 color scales and 3 color scales. And yes, the yellow-red scale I showed you has orange at the middle, but 3 color scales have a middle color that also affects the format. Let's say that you wanted to apply the green, yellow, red format. And that is where the highest values have green, the middle values have yellow, and the red values are the lowest. If I click that within the palette that appears, Excel applies that format, but only to the active cell. If I want to apply it to other cells within the pivot table, I can click the Formatting Options button, and then click the last option, which applies the format to all cells showing sum of usage for workstation and day, which means that it would exclude any subtotal or grand total cells that were included in the pivot table. When you apply that format, you see that the highest values are green, the middle values are yellow, and the low values are red. The values between the middle and the high are yellowish green, and the values between the middle and the low are yellowish red or orange. Now once again, I'm going to clear this particular format, go to Conditional Formatting, Clear Rules from this pivot table. And now I'm going to create my own custom color scale. And to do that, I will go back to the Conditional Formatting Color Scales menu and then click More Rules. We can now use the controls in the New Formatting Rule dialog box to create our custom color scale. The first thing I'm going to do is select the All Cells Showing Sum of Usage Values for Workstation and Day, which again applies the format to all cells within the pivot table, but not subtotal or grand total cells. And then I'll use the controls at the bottom end in the Edit the Rule description to create my custom 2-color format. For the lowest values, I'm going to choose yellow. So we have minimum and type indicating that this is the lowest value. Click Color, and I'll just select yellow. And then for the highest values, I will select blue. With those selections in place, I can click OK, and Excel applies the format. You go through exactly the same procedure when you create a 3-color scale, but there you obviously have to pick the middle color as well. Color scales provide terrific visual feedback for resource utilization maps. If you run a grocery store and want to track which shelf positions get the most traffic, or if you run an internet cafe and track workstation usage, a color scale conditional format will indicate which resources are the most and the least popular.